I think I'm a special one.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
All right, guys, welcome back on the Half Turn Podcast, episode 46, World Cup episode number 3. What's up, Chad?
What's going on, dude? I haven't been back here in maybe 5 episodes.
Back in the stew. I think it's time we kind of redo some of this stuff in the back. Maybe the Mbappe poster goes. I don't know, maybe a different jersey instead of Ronaldinho. Maybe we get rid of my customized jersey and put it elsewhere. Redo some of the scarves. But yeah, we're on a pretty good roll right now. This will be our 3rd World Cup episode. We previewed groups A, C, D, and E. Then we did the U.S. roster reaction, previewed Group B. So this is what? F, G, and H?
F, G, and H.
And then we'll have the whole World Cup covered in previews. And then I think the plan is to do like another storyline type episode that also talks about match day 1 for all of the teams. And then kind of previewing that. So that'll be later this week. But for now, we'll preview the last 3 groups. And these 3 groups are like more intriguing than...
Some good teams in these groups.
Yeah, I was like writing some of this, and I was like, wow, this team is stacked. So what are you wearing?
Oh, man. I had no international jerseys because I took them back to my apartment. But I do got this fresh white Venezia kit from this year.
That's clean.
Yeah, it's actually so fresh.
Kappa brand, white, green, and
so
orange.
they try to be like designer, I guess, in a way, to kind of make their jerseys look like they're like part of like fashion, I guess. It's like Venezia's always gonna have fresh kits. They were in Serie B this year. They have American players like Gianluca Busio and Tanner Tessman. Anyone else?
No, that's it.
No. Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
that's nice.
Do they have American owners too?
Yeah, but I think they bought part of the way in, not all the way in.
Oh, really?
But yeah, they're like redoing their stadium. It's cool.
Yep.
Your jersey is fresh.
Thanks, bro. What you got?
So he's all designer and style. I'm just classic. I've worn it on here before. At this point, I'm reusing jerseys until I get more new ones. This is like the late 2000s David Beckham, Alexi Lawless era LA Galaxy jersey. Herbalife sponsor. There's no name on the back. It's like slightly it's not very fitted. It's like kind of loose. But it's like respect the classics, you know what I mean?
Old MLS logo is nice.
Oh, yeah, dude, with the foot kicking the soccer ball. It's just like a cleat kicking a ball. So, yeah, I don't know. It's like I didn't wear an international jersey. I think I only have a couple, but I'll break out a few more of the U.S. jerseys for the World Cup and stuff.
Are you going to get a USA World Cup jersey?
I think so. I think I'm obligated to get a Pulisic, right? Like
you're going to get a Pulisic?
Like, it's kind of weird because, like, most of the players are younger than me. So, like, this creepy old dude.
Ream.
You're right. I'll get a Ream. No, I don't know. Pulisic's cool. Like, all right, if we, not saying he is, right? Because we've criticized him, but like, if he's the American Messi or the guy in America, like, it's okay to have his jersey. Like, yeah. I'm also like not like fanboying over him to get his autograph. I'm just like, it's a cool kit. Like, I collect soccer kits.
Yeah. What's crazy is that I saw a comparison to 2014 World Cup roster and this year's World Cup roster for the U.S. And, like, all those players that played in 14, like, where did some of those guys go? Like, Aaron Johansson.
Dude, Aaron Johansson fell off the face of the earth.
It just makes you wonder, like, some of the players on this roster are just going to, like, fall off.
Yeah, well, this is a younger group in general.
Yeah.
Now, there will be players that we think are young and promising. I'm not sure which ones yet. That just fade. Like, I don't know, it could be Josh Sargent in the Aaron Johansson role or Haji Wright or something like Haji Wright, realistically, we could talk about this on another episode, but there was one candidate on the U.S. team to just, like, fade into oblivion, like, probably be Haji Wright.
I was thinking about if I were to get a jersey, who I'd get, and I was thinking maybe a De La Torre.
No,
that's my guy, bro.
Dude, it is kind of clean. It's funny because I watched the YouTube videos that they put out of, like, with their story.
Yeah.
And the dude just shows no emotion at all. It's just like,
I was born in San Diego.
I am Luca Della Torre. I played soccer. Or he calls it football. I enjoyed my football. And, like, he just talks. And, like, there's nothing, like, there to him. But, like, speaking of Luca Della Torre, I did, like, I feel like he's got a burning passion to, like, prove people wrong. That, like, you kind of get when he's like, yeah, I just wanted to, like, compete every day at Fulham and prove that I'm there. And I knew I could make the most of my opportunity at Heracles. I was like, I knew I could, this is my last opportunity to really prove myself. And I was like, I like that attitude.
Yeah, maybe I save it and get a Celta Vigo De La Torre. And get someone else for the World Cup.
The thing is, you might not even know that, like, the De La Torre is American if you have a Celta Vigo jersey, because it's like kind of like a Spanish name too. He's just a big Celta Vigo fan. The pool is like a standard, like you can't go wrong. Like I feel like it's different if I were to get like an Aronson or like, you know what I mean? Because he is younger, but like Pulisic is like the guy.
Should get an Areola, even though he's on the roster.
A customized. I've told this story on here before, I think, about my Josie Altidore World Cup jersey. So when I was in 8th grade before the 2010 World Cup, and I was a big Josie Altidore fan. Haven't gotten a U.S. jersey before. So he wore number 4. I was waiting the whole time. I didn't know that they released the kit numbers and everything so close to the World Cup. So they dropped the U.S. kit. I originally think I ordered the blue with the white sash. And he wore number 14 in a friendly against the Netherlands in like March of 2010. So I just customized the blue kit as soon as it dropped with 14 Altidore on the back. Then they came out with kit numbers, and he was 17. I was like, what the heck? I just got this 14 jersey. So we called soccer.com or World Soccer Shop or whoever, and they let us send it back because we proved that he did change numbers. They were very nice about it. So then I got the white 17 Altidore. The rest is history. Yeah. I mean, that 14 Altidore would be kind of sweet now. And he did wear 14 in like Olympics and U20 World Cup and stuff. So you ready to get rolling?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. So we'll go Group F.
Group F.
So who are the teams and?
All right, so starting off with Group F, it's Belgium, Croatia, Canada, and Morocco. So a pretty interesting group, especially as like American fan too, because like Canada's in it. Mm-hmm. Like I don't really like dislike Canada. I kind of like Canada. Mm-hmm. Like I would root for Canada.
They're easy to root for, yeah.
I like some of their players, but first we'll start with Belgium, who's probably the favorite to get out of this group as the number one. But to begin, they're 16-1 odds to win the World Cup. They're ranked second in FIFA. They've been like hanging around like 1 or 2 for like a while now.
Wow.
They're the their nickname's the Red Devils, and they're coached by Roberto Martinez. They play at 3-4-2-1. I think Thierry Henry is still their assistant.
Really?
Yeah.
The dude does everything, man.
Yeah,
he was the coach of Montreal. Then he like left to do something, and then like he's like on the CBS show, and
yeah. So current form, they've had 2 losses in their last 10 matches, and both were against the Netherlands.
Okay.
And I think that was World Cup qualifying, or no, not Nations League. They don't play them in Nations League. I think it was World Cup qualifying. Maybe.
Well, they haven't had windows to do friendly, so it must be.
Yeah. But in over a year, they haven't beat a top 10 ranked nation, and they've had a few tries at it. Mm-hmm. I think they played I forget who's in their Nations League group. So they've struggled against some of the bigger teams, but they've kind of played well against some of the worst. Okay. The worst in competition. Tons of players to watch. They have a pretty good squad. I think we mentioned this last episode that their players are starting to fade a little bit. Like their golden generation, like I think it kind of peaked in 2018. Mm-hmm. I mean, they made it to semifinals. Players to watch: Michy Batshuayi, who's expected to be the starter because Lukaku's doubtful. He's on the roster, Lukaku, but they're unsure if he's going to be 100% fit.
I always kind of like Batshuayi. I always thought he got like a tough deal at Chelsea. Him and Pulisic linked up well. I kind of wanted him to play more when he was there.
You also got Ian Hazard, of course, Kevin De Bruyne. Mm-hmm. Kevin De Bruyne's probably one of the best players in the world right now. Mm-hmm. So he's going to be a beast. He's one of my favorite players. Axel Witsel, Yuri Tielemans. They're still relying in the back on Jan Vertonghen and Toby Alderweireld.
The year's 2040. Jan Vertonghen and Alderweireld, they're still center backs.
Yeah, which was 2 of their 3 center backs in 2018, and they were considered old. And then they both left Tottenham, and they still are on the national team as the starters. But man, Courtois on goal, of course.
Courtois is good, man. He'll keep him in any game. I love Courtois.
Yeah. And they've got a lot of good young players, including Zeno de Bast, who's a center back. Is he with Anderlecht? I think he's with Anderlecht. They also got Onana, who's on Everton, one of my boys. He's performing really well for Everton. And they also got
plays defensive mid.
De Ketelaere, who just moved from Bruges to AC Milan.
What position does he play?
He's like an attacking midfielder. He can play like any of those forward positions. But the player that I highlight is Leandro Trossard. Obviously, he plays for Brighton. He's a 27-year-old winger, but kind of converted like wing back. A Genk Academy product. Genk has also produced Kevin De Bruyne, Yannick Carrasco, Leon Bailey, Benteke, Koulibaly, Origi, Courtois, Ndidi, and Milinkovic-Savic.
Jeez.
So that whatever Genk's doing, they're doing it right.
Yeah.
So he's a product from them, loaned out to 3 different clubs across Belgium, and for Genk he had 83 appearances and 27 goals. Good goal-to-game ratio as a winger. Moved to Brighton in 2019, and for Brighton has 113 appearances and 25 goals. This season, 13 appearances, 7 goals. So he's had a hat-trick this season. I forget who it was against. It might have been one against one of the big clubs. Might have been against Chelsea a few weeks ago. So he's going to be a player to watch.
He's going to play. He's going to start.
Yeah, I think he's going to start on one of the wing backs. I mean, you got Carrasco could play one of those wing backs as well. But yeah,
they've always in the past it's been like an attacking player like Carrasco, and then like Munier on the other side. Who's like I guess a bit more defensive, but not like a defender.
Yeah.
So that's all of these guys, like you said, like are older. And, like, the only guy you would consider world-class at this point is De Bruyne. And, like, Tielemans is, like, really good. Like, you put him up there with anybody. But everyone else is just, like, he's all right. Like, I don't know. So, when we get to previewing, like, the group as a whole, I would say, like, this... Like, if there's a team that could bust out and, like, not make it past the group stage out of, like, the top teams, I kind of think Belgium.
Yeah, Belgium. Even though, like, I'm going to be rooting for him. Like, De Bruyne is one of my favorite players. So and like they kind of got some good like players you can root for, like Hazard. They can't root against them, but they're still good, man. Still all those good players. Like they kind of have to get out of the group, you know.
So I think we could all agree that their golden generation has kind of like run its course.
Well, not officially. Probably after this World Cup, right? Because this is probably Hazard's last World Cup. Could be De Bruyne's last World Cup.
I guess, yeah.
Vertonghen.
But so I guess it still counts. Like, it's considered their golden generation, but it's also like when the golden generation isn't producing like as much. Like Eden Hazard at the club level is not producing that much. But when you look at like if it's just one guy dragging them, it's not really the golden generation. It's just that De Bruyne has continued to stay at that level. You know what I mean? It's not the collection of guys. It's just one or two guys.
They peaked.
But I will say, like we've talked about Belgium, like the youth system there, and how like proactive they are and like trying to develop better players. All of the best players, like there's so many of them that are Belgian. Like there was a list of like the top like U16 or U17 players in the world, and like half the list is Belgian, right? And like they implemented the 2v2 system up until they're like 10 years old. They just do all of this like cool stuff, and like they reap the benefits of it because they're developing younger players. But maybe there was just a gap between the golden generation that kind of happened on accident implementing that stuff. So that's where you get this like kind of gap where the old players are filling that gap, and then like the young players are coming through, like an Onana and the guys below them.
Yeah, I think we'll see a big role from like the young players. Like I think the boss is going to be a starter, and Onana probably could play like a Vittel role.
You know, it'd be cool too. Is like in 2010, the German team was like a lot of older players. Like Ballack was still there, but then there was like this younger generation, like Thomas Müller and all those guys. And like, oh, the young German attacking players. So you think of Germany as like this old like style, but then they had all these younger guys coming through, and then they won in 14. So if this younger Belgian generation hits, maybe they're a 2026 favorite because of the young guys that get experience in this one.
Yeah, definitely. Good point. Yeah, so they're obviously they're expecting out of the group, but then they're going to be going against Croatia. They're going to be going against Croatia, who's 50-1 odds. They're ranked 16th in FIFA. I mean, this Croatian team is still really good.
Mm-hmm.
The Vetreni, meaning the Blazers,
What does it mean by Blazers? Like,
and the Kakasti, meaning the checkered ones.
that's pretty good.
It's very, very
The
good.
checkered
Up
ones.
for one of the best nicknames in the World Cup this year. They play a 4-3-3 under Vlatko Dalic. He's still their head coach.
He's the checkered one.
Yes. Obviously, runners-up in 2018. Euros, round 16 loss to Spain.
Mm-hmm.
And their only loss in 2022 is a 3-0 loss to Austria in World Cup qualifying, maybe?
Really?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't remember them being in their Nations League. Maybe they're on the Nations League. They played France twice in Nations League, beat them 1-0, and tied them 1-1. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good.
Very good. Players to watch, obviously, Luka Modric, Kovacic, Brozovic, Kramaric, who plays for Hoffenheim, Mislav Oršić. He was a winger, number 10, I think, maybe a forward for Dynamo Zagreb. I think he scored against Chelsea in the Champions League this year.
Yeah.
Ivan Perisic.
That was Tuchel's last game, I think.
Oh,
I think they lost
the
that
first
game
one.
and then they
Yeah.
canned him.
Yeah. Lovren and Vida. I think they might still be coming back. I'm not 100% sure if they're on the roster, but I would expect they bring Lovren, right, for that veteran leadership.
This is very much like Belgium, where like they're all older. They just run it back. Like they were like, 2018 was a good World Cup, run it back.
And does Vida play for a club team, or does he just play for Croatia?
Yeah, I've never heard of him play for like anybody else.
But the player that I highlighted is a center back. Going to be one of the best young center backs in the world right now is Josko Vardiol. Sorry.
That's a pretty nice pronunciation, though.
Vardiol. I mean, if you look at that name, like, how do you pronounce that, man? Try my best there, but 20-year-old center back for RB Leipzig. Started playing at the age of 7. Spotted by 2 Croatian teams, 2 of the bigger teams in Croatia, Lokomotiva and Zagreb. Mm-hmm. Joined Zagreb and started playing as a left back and a center mid. Mm-hmm. So he is left-footed, I'm pretty sure. So he started playing as left back and center mid. And then his academy coach later moved him to a center back. And soon after being moved to center back, he started to gain the attention from Man City, Dortmund, Bayern, Ajax, Inter, and Roma. Made his senior debut for Zagreb in the 1920 season. Leipzig came in for him in August of 2020, but he stayed on loan at Zagreb.
Okay.
And extended his contract to 2027, and the club rejected a £90 million bid from Chelsea, I believe, this year.
Leipzig rejected a £90 million bid for somebody.
Yeah, they were linked to Guardiola this summer, maybe around August or something. And he finished 6th place in the Copa Trophy, so that's like best young player. I think Gavi won it this year.
Right.
Yeah,
so this
might have been Gavi.
So he's pretty much a lock to start then.
I think he's going to start. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he was linked to Man United at one point too.
Yeah. Like he's probably going to move next at the end of the season to a bigger club, like a big move. Like 90 million from Chelsea, like that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
He scored a big goal for Leipzig in the Champions League, I'm pretty sure, recently too. So, yeah.
So, like Modric, Kovacic, Brozovic, like they're all older, but you think they still got something. Like Modric, like I feel like we all just kind of lumped this team together in like the Modric category, but these guys are younger than Modric, right? Like Kovacic is still, 27, 28?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so like these guys...
Brozovic is a little older.
I feel like these guys have just been around for a while, but, so... yeah.
And then...
I think this team's dangerous.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Still got Perisic.
Perisic was playing well for Spurs. I think he could play up top as a 10, as a winger, as a wing back. Like,
and they have attacking options, like I said, like the Kramaric, Oršić. Who's the other? Rebic, like they still got.
Where do I remember the name Rebic from?
He's Croatian. He plays for Milan now.
Oh yeah.
They have still got some good attacking players. Yeah, man. I think Croatia could. You think Croatia could take number one?
Yeah, I really think like. Let's get through the group and then I'll give up my hot take prediction.
All right, let's move on to Canada. The Canucks is what their nickname is. They're 200 to 1 odds, ranked 38 in FIFA. John Herdman is their manager, and lately they've played a 3-4-1-2. So, or 3-5-2, however you want to say it. Form, they finished first in CONCACAF, beating USA and Canada.
You mean
Mexico? And Mexico. I even wrote that in the notes.
Dang, they beat themselves?
They're good.
Or bad. Like, it could be both. Like, if you beat yourself, you're bad.
Yeah, wow. In the September window, they beat Qatar 2-0, but lost to Uruguay 2-0. So, take that how you want. Players to watch, Alphonso Davies. He is going to the World Cup, and he is going to play.
Dude gets hurt like
he
every
picked
other
up a
week
knock, but he's going to play. They listed him under the forwards. They didn't list him as a defender, not a midfielder. They listed him as a forward. So expect him to be like as a winger.
Yeah, I think he's like a wing back that they just tell to get up the field.
Yeah, so they're some of their players to watch, players that I think you should watch. Kyle Larin, MLS.
So plays for
MLS player.
Besiktas, right?
Pretty sure. Maybe. I don't even know. Tejan Buchanan, former MLS player. Richie Larea, who played in the championship. I think is he back in MLS?
I'm not sure. But Buchanan plays for Bruges, who plays Champions League, right?
Yep.
So he's playing
and he starts. Well, yeah. But their main player to watch probably, I mean, other than Alphonso Davies, is Jonathan David. He was actually born in New York City. He was eligible to play for the U.S. men's national team, but...
would he be our starter right now?
100%.
All right.
100%, bro.
Dude. That's a pretty enthusiastic 100%.
Dude, yeah, man. Come on. Born in New York City, moved to Haiti, and then moved to Ottawa. So he went from USA to Haiti to Canada, which is pretty crazy. Loved watching soccer growing up, but didn't watch MLS and had no desire to play in North America. He only wanted to play in Europe.
Jeez.
He only watched European soccer growing up. Was called up by Tab Ramos to the USA U20 team in 2018, but declined.
Jeez.
Yeah, there we could have got him, man.
Dude, maybe it's Tab Ramos' fault, dude.
Joined Ghent in Belgium in 2018. 83 appearances, 37 goals.
Wow.
And for Lille, he moved there in 2020 for £30 million, 110 appearances, 41 goals. And that's a team playing in a top 5 league. He's won the league with them. They play Champions League. And for Canada, has 22 goals and 34 appearances. So he's basically their guy. Like, if you check whenever Canada plays, like, I'll see if they're playing a friendly. Like, it's always Jonathan David scoring. Always. Did he score against the U.S. when in the qualifying?
I don't remember, honestly.
Wasn't it 2-0?
It was 1-0, and then they scored very late. Yeah, up at their place. Yeah, it was like freezing cold. Like there was like the turf. I think they were playing on turf.
Yeah.
And we talked on here before about how like if you score a goal every other game for like your club, you're in like a really good season. If you score a goal every third game, like let's say you have 30 appearances, 10 goals for your country, you're like a legend. Like 22 goals and 34 appearances is like nuts.
Yeah.
Now, like, he's only really played CONCACAF, but that's still, like, pretty impressive.
Well,
and this Canada team has had to go through levels of qualifying that, like, the U.S. typically doesn't. Like, they were because of their world ranking, they were in the it's not the hex anymore, whatever they call it, the octagonal.
Yeah.
Before the octagonal, they had to qualify. We got pushed right up through to the octagonal because of our
so he was playing some...
Yeah, so maybe he got a few goals there too, but I mean, it's still like impressive.
I mean, what other forward in CONCACAF is scoring that many goals?
Just Josie. I mean, if he's in the team.
If he's healthy.
He got us
back
single-handedly.
in 2009.
Dude, I think they're calling Jonathan David the Canadian Josie.
Jeez. All right. Last team in the group.
So, Canada, real quick.
Okay.
Now, when we finish the group, we can talk about it again, but are they, like, before the draw, people are like, yo, Canada's a dark horse. Canada's a dark horse. Are they a dark horse now with the group?
Maybe.
This group is tough, dude. This group is tough.
Yeah. They could be a dark horse. The fact that we brought up, like, a fading Belgium team. Mm-hmm. Croatia's still good, but they're not, like, the elite of the elite, right?
Yeah, dude, I don't think the Canada team is good enough in the back. Like, they have Mark-Anthony Kaye in the midfield who's decent, but, like, they're starting Steven Vittoria played for the Union in, like, 2015. He was terrible, like just big, tall dude. Like I think he played in Portugal at some point, but like their defenders just aren't that good. They what's his name, Johnston, that plays in MLS. So like I don't know, man. Their defenders aren't great. It's really how far will Jonathan David, Alphonso Davies take him?
Yeah. How do you think they match up against like a team like that? How do you think they should go out and play against like Belgium or Croatia?
I think they'll be fine. Like they sat back and defended against us like kind of with ease, right? They limited us from getting anything. And I don't know, maybe go back and listen to that podcast to see like what we were talking about. They could do the same thing, and then with Davies and these guys like ready to go like on the break, especially against like those old like Stone Age legs of Alderweireld and Vertonghen. Like you never know, dude.
Yeah. I was listening to someone today, kind of off topic, but still kind of same, that teams won't really press that much in this World Cup because it's going to be so hot.
Oh,
like, you can't like go out and press.
It was hot too.
Dude, I was looking at the weather in Doha today, and it's 80 degrees right now, and it's like midnight now.
Dude.
And they're 8 hours ahead, and I went to look and see what the time was like during some of the games. It's going to be like 90 to 95.
Maybe there's going to be air conditioning. Dude, it's really going to ruin, now that you bring that up, like it's going to ruin the games because like no one wants to see a game where like one team just sits in a low block, then the other team just sits in a low block, and then it just goes, like that's terrible, dude.
Yeah, so like the 2 o'clock games, like all USA's games are at 2 p.m. So that's 10 p.m. in Qatar.
That's ridiculous. But that'll be good for us. I mean, I guess good for the other team too. But
all right,
and like teams aren't going to be as fresh or as fit in this World Cup because they're coming off club season. So maybe that lends into Canada's hand, you know.
Morocco, the Atlas Lions, 200 to 1 odds, ranked 24th in FIFA. Not really sure what formation they're going to play. Recently played a 4-4-2, 4-1-4-1, 4-2-3-1. Walid Regaroui is their manager. My pronunciations are pretty mid right now. Their current form, they won all 6 in their qualifying group. And how they got here, they beat Congo in 2 legs, 5-2.
So they're qualifying in Africa?
Yes.
Oh,
they're a Northern African team. Obviously, we recently played the U.S. We've talked about it before. USA beat them 2-0?
3-0.
3-0? Nice. All right. Players to watch. Ziyech is called in. He's back with the Moroccan national team. He played in September but retired earlier in the year. A bunch of stuff happened, but he's back with the national team, so obviously like he's really good. Plays for Chelsea. Got Romain Saiss, Amrabat. Remember Amrabat? I remember him playing for like Roma maybe, but he played center mid against the U.S. He played like as a wing back for Roma.
He's like super tricky, right? Like
that's Adel Taarabt. He's the tricky one. So Amrabat and Taarabt play together.
I don't remember They both play center mid.
One's bald. Amrabat's bald.
Yeah, I don't think I know him.
I'll point him out to you. Mazraoui, right back for Bayern. Boufal, I'm not sure if he still plays in the Premier League. Southampton, he played for Southampton, I think it was. And then Youssef and Nasri for Sevilla.
What position does he play?
I think he's a forward. And obviously you got Achraf Hakimi, who's turned into like one of the best right backs in the world.
Yeah.
24 years old, born in Spain, but parents were from Morocco. Joined Real Madrid at the age of 8. Nothing super crazy about this guy. Couldn't really find much about him. Just joined Real Madrid at the age of 8. 2 seasons at Dortmund on loan, then went to Inter for 1 season, and now he's at his 2nd season at PSG. Look at the teams this guy played for.
Yeah.
Real, Dortmund, Inter, PSG.
He was a beast on Dortmund, and then PSG, and he's a beast for PSG too.
Yeah, so he must have been eligible to play for Spain at one point if he was born there. But obviously chose Morocco.
So, all right, so we're through that group. What are your predictions? Because I kind of have a hot take brewing that
really
Croatia is going to finish first, and I think Belgium will get second, but like there's a chance Morocco finishes second.
You like Morocco?
I don't love Morocco, but like Canada's okay, Morocco's okay. I want to fade Belgium. Like I feel like Belgium is due to like take a step down, but there's like Morocco and Canada aren't quite there. And maybe if you replaced Morocco with like a worse team, like an Iran or Saudi Arabia or one of those teams, then that gives Canada like an easier path to 3 points there. Then I'd pick Canada to like finish second. But I think because like Canada and Morocco will probably beat each other up, I think it'll probably be Belgium. But I'm going to say Croatia's going to finish first in the group. And I would like that prediction even more if it was a team stronger than Croatia. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think Belgium's still going to finish first.
Really?
They were in the group of death last World Cup, and they finished first, I think. So
That's 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago.
yeah. So and then Croatia second. I would still go Canada third. And then
Morocco fourth?
Four, yeah.
Like, I'm not a huge, like, I don't think Ziyech's been in good form or anything, but, like, Hakimi and, like, I don't know. Maybe they just keep it compact enough.
And maybe the Moroccan fans were probably at a super low point when the U.S. played them, and the U.S. fans were, like, at a super high point. But that was, like, when they played each other, that was, like, the highest point U.S. fans have felt because it was against, like, Morocco, like, a pretty decent team.
I guess, but I think everyone knew Morocco wasn't, like, I think they flew in, like, the day before. Like, it wasn't that, like, intense of a game for them. I don't think they, like, really, like, tried.
Yeah, they just didn't really impress me that day. So then, like, can't go out here and say that I've watched Morocco a ton. So, yeah.
So the consensus would be probably Belgium first and Croatia second.
Well, you're in between second and third for Belgium.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if there was I'd have to look at some of the other groups. Like the next group has, like, Serbia and Switzerland in it. Like, I'd pick Serbia to finish ahead of Belgium if they were the third team in this group.
Okay,
That makes sense. Like, if there was a better third team, like a more clearly defined third team, I'd pick them to finish. Just because I think
I know
Belgium.
what you're trying to say is that there's two teams here in one category, and then there's two teams here in that category, and then there's, like, while some groups are like clearly the best team, clearly the second, clearly the third, clearly the fourth. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, kind of. But, I mean, it'll probably just be Belgium and Croatia.
I'll say, man. Yeah. There's some good games in that group.
Let's go on to Group G.
Group G. Brazil. We'll start with Brazil. The favorite to win the World Cup, ranked first in the FIFA rankings. 4-1 odds to win the World Cup. The selection. Their manager is Tite since 2016, and they'll play a 4-3-3. Form. Scored the most points ever in South American qualifying, including 29 games unbeaten in qualifying. Jeez, so that must have dated back to the last qualifying cycle. 13 clean sheets in 17 games, and 2.5 goals scored per game. Excellent form.
Yeah,
They're
that's crazy.
insane, man.
Like, and South American qualifying is like no joke.
Yeah, you've been saying that all the time.
Dude, I was doing more research on it today. It's no joke, bro.
So let's just look at some of the players they have in each position.
Let's give it the positions, too.
Goalie. Allison and Ederson.
Two of the best goalies in the world, to be honest.
Yeah. Expected to start at center back is Militao and Marquinhos. And then you got Thiago Silva in there.
Veteran leadership.
Yeah, of course. Center mids, you got Bruno Guimaraes, Casemiro, Fred, Fabinho, Paqueta.
Like, the fact that there's some of those guys that won't start a single game at the World Cup is just mind-blowing.
Yeah. Now some of their wingers / attacking players, this is insane. Because they went a little light on bringing defenders. But
they brought guys like Dani Alves.
They went heavy on bringing attackers. Anthony, Gabriel Jesus, Martinelli, Neymar, Rafinha, Richarlison, Rodrigo, Vinny Jr. And they snubbed Firmino.
Yeah, I think Firmino started to play, like, pretty well for Liverpool, like when Nunez had the red card and there was, like, some injuries for Jota and Diaz. I thought Firmino was playing well. I'm glad that Martinelli made the roster because I think he's been playing awesome for Arsenal. And then I've seen a lot of people starting Rafinha on the right wing, but, like, I guess you kind of have to start Gabriel Jesus as the 9 because you really don't have another 9. You can't not start Vinicius Jr. You simply cannot.
Yeah.
Like, he has to start. Maybe you could start Richarlison as the 9 too. Maybe is Neymar going to play, like, as a 10?
Maybe.
Could you play Neymar as a 10?
They almost have to, right? They almost have to play, like, 2 wingers, one of their 9s, like Jesus, and then someone an attacking player at the 10, probably Neymar.
And then, like, Casemiro, Fabinho or something.
Yeah. Dude, they have to just put all those attacking players on the field.
Crazy.
Dude. And, like, it's not even like they're light in, like, center mids or defenders. Like, they're strong there.
It's crazy.
So the player I highlighted is Gabriel Martinelli. nothing crazy, but he played for Corinthians futsal team at a young age before moving to play for Ituano. I think they're in the Brazil league. He moved cities to go play for their team.
So he grew up playing futsal instead of...
Yeah, he grew up playing futsal. So I don't know what that means in Brazil. Like if he...
I think they just do that. Like I'd listen to a podcast about like
indoor
coaching.
Futsal?
I think a little bit. I'm
Like
assuming
you play
it's
for
in
like a club team.
Yeah, and like they don't like. I mean, especially if you don't have like fields available, you have courts and stuff. And I've heard, not to get sidetracked here, but I listened to this other podcast, and one of the guys who's a coach is part Brazilian. He said like he didn't own a pair of cleats until he was like 14 years old.
That's crazy.
And like going back to like trying to relate it here, people talk about like futsal being this like savior to like develop players. Like it's really like, what you play. Like in Brazil, they have a ton of courts, and it's easier to play futsal, so you just play more futsal. In the U.S., if you have a bunch of grass, you play soccer. A bunch of turf fields, you play soccer. A bunch of basketball courts, yeah, go play futsal. Like, if it's really cold outside all the time, play futsal, play pickup futsal. So, like, they're just adapting to what they have. It's not the futsal that makes them better. It's the fact that they play all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
That's cool.
like Belgium can develop a ton of really good players, but it's not just because they're playing futsal. It's because they're just playing more. So it's just something I just, like, think about every time I hear that. And Neymar grew up playing futsal, too. It's just what they did because that's what they had, and that was, like, the culture they had.
Yeah, dude.
Any game centered around soccer will get you better at soccer.
Yeah, man, this team is crazy. But Martinelli eventually moved to Arsenal for $6 million because he was holding an Italian passport. So I don't know if that was a relative or like a mom or dad.
That's weird because like you never really hear of Arsenal like bringing the Brazilians over. Like you hear of Brazilians going to Spain, going to Portugal, but like you never really hear of them going to Arsenal.
Yeah, that was like a low key signing.
Yeah,
like
dude,
I never
he's so good.
Like that wasn't really like big news. Like a dude named Martinelli was going to Arsenal.
Yeah.
So obviously this Brazil team's insane.
I think Brazil wins the World Cup. Like
Whoa,
that's just like
hot take.
Well, I mean, it's just like look at the squad. I think Argentina and Brazil are the two best teams, and I think it's Brazil.
You know, if they finish both first in their group, they meet each other in the semifinals.
Yeah, semifinal.
Which sucks. That would be a cool final.
Yeah. There'd be like just people brawling, dude. Like the fans hate each other.
All right, into one of my dark horse teams in the World Cup.
Factos.
This is a nice team. Serbia, the Eagles.
Oh,
Of course
I think they're like the third Eagles of this
Yeah.
World Cup.
80-1 odds, ranked 25th in FIFA. Recently played a 3-5-2 under Dragan Strokovic. That was good. Form, unbeaten in qualifying.
Wow.
That includes Portugal in their World Cup qualifying group.
Yeah, because Portugal had to do the play-in.
They drew against Portugal, and they won away at Portugal. So draw at home, away win at Portugal. Nations League, they earned promotion after beating Norway and Sweden. So no like pushover teams there either.
Yeah, both really good.
All right. Players to watch. You got Vlahovic, forward for Juventus. Mitrovic, Fulham. Luka Jovic, he's on one of the teams in Serie A.
Flamed out of Real Madrid.
But dude, like those three forwards, like you got some options there, right?
Yeah,
Like,
well, I think it's Vlahovic or Mitrovic every
Yeah.
game, probably be the starters.
you got Dusan Tadic, who's their captain.
We know how good he is.
Filip Kostic, who just moved to Juventus from Frankfurt. He's a beast. He loves to cross the ball.
Yeah, pacey winger.
But the player I highlighted is a player that I started to watch a little bit more of the past year. Is the Lazio center mid Milinkovic Savic. He's 27 years old. His father played pro in Portugal, and in Portugal he started playing with Sporting youth teams, and then he played a few years in Austria with some of their youth teams. I don't know what club it was. Maybe his father was playing in Austria or something. He signed pro at 17 in Serbia, which is in 2012. 2014, Genk is back, the team that produces a ton of players.
Talking a lot about Genk recently.
Yeah, he signed for them for $1 million. 2015, a year later, moved to Lazio for $12 million. So he's been there since 2015. His value currently is $60 million. and his form is insane. 12 appearances, might be up since the last time I wrote this. It's been a few days. 12 appearances, 3 goals, 7 assists. The dude does not shy away from a tackle. 5 yellow cards.
I was gonna say, why should we put the yellow cards there?
The dude does it all in the midfield. Like, you watch him, he's always getting in the box for crosses. Mm-hmm. He's always creating play. Why do you think Ciro Immobile has so many goals all the time? Mm-hmm. I think it has to do with Savage. He's like the perfect box-to-box center mid. He can do it all on the pitch. So he could make some noise, I think. He's not the type of guy that's going to play well in this tournament and then get a big move.
Because he already earned the big move.
Like, he's already at a lot. I can't see him going from, like, he's kind of at the awkward age now, or at 27, 28, where he's not going to, like, move up to, like, Real Madrid or something, or Barcelona's not going to go buy him. But, yeah, he's a beast, dude.
So, I've been trying to think of, like, this player, right? So, in 2014, James Rodriguez, good player, playing for Monaco. He has an insane World Cup, and then, like, his price just balloons, and he goes for, like, $100 million to Real Madrid. Could Savage be that guy? He's a little older, right? I think James was, like, 23 at that point, but, like, is Savage, like, could he go to, like, I don't know, like Man United or something for like $100 million if he has like a crazy good World Cup? You know what I mean? Like a James Rodriguez type.
Maybe a Premier League team could spend on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And dude, like center mid's like Modric's been around for a while. Like you could play at a high level for now. Maybe like a mobile midfielder like that isn't, but like you could like you could be a high level till you're 32 or 33.
I think his price could explode because I think Serbia can make some noise and.
Yeah. Also, like Juventus just like kind of buys old guys a lot of times within Serie A, so maybe just like Juve buys them at some point.
Yeah.
Too.
You find a lot of players like Poland, Serbia. What's another country like kind of in that area?
Switzerland.
Yeah, like those players.
Bosnia
play a lot in Serie A.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but
I think Serie A is the second best league in the world at this point. Right now, in terms of, like the top 8 is really really strong.
Yeah, because they have a lot of big clubs.
Yeah.
That could compete, so. Mm-hmm. All right.
So Serbia is definitely a dark horse for me, too.
Yeah,
but let's keep going here.
For sure. And then we got Switzerland. Nati, meaning the national team. They're 80-1 odds, ranked 15th in FIFA. Their manager is Murat Yakin. Mm-hmm. They play a 4-2-3-1.
Okay.
Obviously, last World Cup, they beat France in penalty kicks.
Euros.
Was it the Euros? Mm-hmm. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, France won the World Cup.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, well, do you run a podcast?
Dude, I just got so much going on in my head. It just makes it up, man. For them, they beat Spain in September. Automatic qualification ahead of Italy. Knocked Italy out.
Yeah, won the group.
Yeah. Xhaka and Shaqiri have played 213 games together.
That's crazy.
That's insane, man. That was an insane stat. Players to watch. They have 2 good goalies, Jan Sommer and Gregor Kobel. Mm-hmm. Kobel plays for Dortmund, and Sommer plays for Gladbach still, maybe. Fabian Schär, center back for Newcastle. Manuel Kanji, who's been playing really well for Man City. Mm-hmm. Remo Freuler, who plays for Forest, Nottingham Forest. I think he moved there this year. Zakaria. Noah Okafor, we were talking about him the other day.
So who are we talking about? Zakaria. He went to Juve, and then they sold him or loaned him to Chelsea because the Juve like president or GM or whatever you call it went to Chelsea, right? And they brought Zakaria with him, but he hasn't like done anything. Like, he's barely featured at all.
I think he's played 1 game and had a goal in that game.
Really?
Champions League the other day, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, he's supposed to be pretty good. He's young still, so hopefully his like career doesn't get like derailed by like a bad transfer.
Well, we expect him to play like for the Switzerland team. The player I highlighted is Bril Embolo. He's going to start the 9 for them.
We kind of glossed over Noah Okafor plays for Salzburg.
Yeah,
I love every forward that plays for Salzburg. They just churn out just beast forwards.
Yeah.
Keep going on Embolo.
Yeah, Embolo. He was born in Cameroon, which they play Cameroon in this group. Mother married a Swiss man and then moved to Basel. So, however that worked. Professional contracted at the age of 16 with FC Basel. £20 million move to Schalke, considered one of the best young players in the world in 2016. Which, if you guys remember him, he was considered one of the best young forwards.
Yeah.
MCL injury, later moved to Borussia Mönchengladbach and then to Monaco. This season has 14 appearances with Monaco in 7 goals.
Huh?
Yeah. International career, 58 appearances, 11 goals. But he started like his international career at a young age, so recently he has 18 appearances, 7 goals.
Okay.
So it's a good goal to game ratio.
So will he be playing as a winger or one of the guys up like further?
He's
going
going to be as a 9.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as a 9 because you expect him to.
Yeah.
I think coming up he was more of a winger and a 9, but now he's just kind of a 9. Yeah.
The Switzerland team's pretty good.
Yeah, so pretty balanced. Like they got some good players in the back, they got some good players forward, and they have a few in the midfield that they're pretty good. All right, on to Cameroon. The Lions. In Cameroon, a lion is a symbol of strength and power. It's the national animal. Fun fact for everybody out there. 250 to 1 odds, ranked 43 in FIFA. Rigaud Bert Song plays 4-3-3. Current form, Samuel Eto'o predicted the World Cup final of Cameroon versus Morocco. I mean,
No
he's like the
there.
president of Cameroon soccer, so like it's kind of like. The previous manager was sacked in March of 2022, but under Song, they beat Algeria and punched their ticket to the World Cup. So he was brought in, I think, maybe one game against Algeria to qualify for the World Cup, and that might have been his first game. I don't know. Might have been.
He was in like a must-win situation.
Yes, and he got him there.
Oh, did they sack the other guy after like a bad like African Cup of Nations or something?
Maybe, yeah.
Wow.
Players to watch. Choupo-Moting, who's been on fire for Bayern recently.
Yeah.
Carl Toko Akambi, who's at Lyon. Andre Onana, the goalie.
He's good.
Mwepo from Brentford. Vincent Abubakar, who plays for Al Nara. In the African Cup of Nations, he had 7 appearances, 8 goals. So in tournaments, he can do pretty well. He's number 9. And the player that I highlighted is Anguissa from Napoli. He's a center mid for Napoli. And some of you guys remember from Fulham. He had a decent spell at Fulham. Didn't really do too much, but he's kind of like popping off for Napoli this season. He's 26. Played at a Cameroonian club until the age of 19. He moved to France, Stade de Reims, and then Marseille, then to Fulham. Loan spell at Villarreal. So he just bounced around trying to find like a team, and then he's in excellent form right now for Napoli. They're on fire. So another pretty good team. Don't think they'll have.
Dude, now that you say some of these guys, like it's a pretty good team. Like better, like you say Cameroon, I'm like, all right, they haven't been good in a while. But like, let's start naming some of these guys. I'm like, wow, all right, they're not a joke. Like they're like have higher profile players than the U.S. have.
Dude, for sure. I want to say Cameroon's going to finish last, but dude, what forward is in better form right now than Choupo-Moting?
Dude, all right, at this point, like this is the toughest group to me. Like, dude, all right, Brazil should win the World Cup. Like, there's no reason they should ever lose a game. But, like, I don't know, man. Like, Serbia's good. We just talk about Serbia being, like, really good. Switzerland have, like, pretty good players. Like, I don't think Switzerland are going to, like, do any damage. But, like, they're good. They knocked out France. I'm sure they're organized. And then, like, Cameroon, like, they have, like, good players. So, like, you just rattled off, like, 3 or 4 guys that are, like, above the level of Americans.
Yeah. Like, dude, that's every team. Like, people think just because we have Americans playing in some of these leagues, so does
everybody else.
Like,
yeah, that's why I say, like, I think
so many good
this
leagues. There's so many good teams out there. Like,
yeah, it's so, like,
people get caught up.
People are like, oh, we have so many Champions League minutes. Like, yeah, all right, do we have a Choupo-Moting, like, playing legit Champions League minutes? Like, no, we're still, there's levels to this that we haven't hit yet. This is the hardest group, I think. As of right now, until maybe
how would you rank it?
You got to put Brazil first, but like,
there's
definitely a chance they drop a game. Maybe they draw. Maybe it's a draw. Maybe Switzerland is like bunkers really hard, and Xhaka is just getting stuck in. But I think it's Brazil. I think it's got to be Brazil, Serbia. Then I'm going to go Cameroon, then Switzerland.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I kind of like these Cameroons.
Yeah, come on, you Runes. What are
they're
come on, you Nazi.
No, they're the Lions.
Oh, sorry, that's Switzerland.
Yeah, because the Lions
Cameroon
is the symbol
of
strength and power.
Yeah, they do have some strength and power on this side. I'll give it to them.
Yep. And I do have Cameroonian jersey.
Dude, Group G is legit, bro.
Yeah. Can't wait for it.
Dude, I can't wait for Group G. All right, you want to get to Group H?
Yes.
You want me to start us off with Portugal?
Yeah, you could run us through Portugal.
All right, so
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll go through Portugal and Uruguay, and then you finish us off. All right, so Group H is Portugal, Uruguay, South Korea, and Ghana. So another like pretty strong group on paper. Portugal, they're 12-1 to win the World Cup, 9th in FIFA. Their nickname is the selection of the sides. What does that mean?
I don't know.
But maybe that selection means something else in Portuguese because Brazil was also called the selection.
Yeah.
Fernando Santos, they probably play like a 4-2-3-1. For him, they qualified from the European playoff, so we just said Serbia won that group. Portugal beat, I forget who in the first round, and then beat North Macedonia in the playoff final because North Macedonia somehow beat Italy. So it was going to be Italy or Portugal in the same play-in.
Yeah.
So they kind of got fortunate there. Players to watch, Diogo Costa, goalkeeper. I mean, look at some of these names on the back line. Ruben Diaz, Nuno Mendes, Guerrero from Dortmund, Dalot, Cancelo, Daniel Pereira. Then you go like towards the midfield. You got Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva from Man City, Rafael Leao, João Felix as winger types. Obviously, like Cristiano Ronaldo. It's funny that we didn't put him on the
sheet
on the list. So my boy Vitinha, center mid. I'll talk about him in a second. Biggest snub was probably Renato Sanchez. He was the young player of the tournament in the 2016 Euros. Plays in the French league. It's just like has his career like it went up and then dipped and now it's like on his way back up. And I'm pretty sure he was like a mainstay in the squad during qualifying and just like he just didn't make it on.
Yeah.
I think there's too much quality in this team. But yeah, I mean like they're talking about not even starting João Felix. That's how like strong of a side this is. But yeah, so just I wanted to highlight Vitinha because you guys know that's my boy here. So Vitinha plays for PSG. He's 22 years old, born in year 2000. He grew up playing with the goalkeeper Diogo Costa, so they're tight from a young age.
Boys.
He trained with Benfica from a young age. He signed to a feeder club, so it sounded like Benfica had like their youth team, and then they had like little feeder clubs throughout. He was cut from Benfica because he was too small. He's slight, but signed with Porto, part of the Porto youth squad that won the 18-19 UEFA Youth League. And then he made his first team debut in January of 2020. So after that season, he was loaned to Wolves in the Premier League, and we all know Wolves have this like Portuguese movement, right? They signed a bunch of Portuguese guys. They had a Portuguese manager. So at the end of the loan was an option, a 20 million euro option to buy, but he only made 19 appearances, and most of them were cup games and such. So he returned to Porto and won the domestic double, so the league and the cup. And like at that point, I was following Vitinha. I didn't know much about Porto, but like Porto was doing well, so I would just assume Vitinha was doing well. So then this past summer, 2022, he signed a 5-year deal with PSG. They bought him for around 42 million euros. He played for the Portuguese youth teams like all growing up. He captained the U19 squad when they were runner-up to Spain in the U19 Euros, and he was on the team. He was made team of the tournament in the U21 Euros, summer of 2021, where they were runner-up to Germany. And that's kind of like where I saw him, right? I tell this story a lot. Where like I was just watching a U21 Euros game.
Tournament ever.
I did. I loved it.
Would you just want to replace the U21 Euros?
With the World Cup. Let's go back.
Take away the World Cup. Let's rewatch the U21 Euros.
Facts. I'm just gonna he was playing. I think they're playing like a diamond, like a 4-4-2 diamond, which you very rarely see at international level. And it was just Vitinha and a couple other guys. I think Fabio Vieira from Arsenal. Yeah. There's just all these little technical dudes, and I was like, wow, these guys like don't give the ball away. They turn, they pass, they can work in and out of tight spaces. So I looked him up and like I watched some highlights, and I just like kept following him from there. And he was really good. So he made team of the tournament there. Made his senior Portuguese debut in the playoff final. So they trusted him enough to take that leap to play in that final against North Macedonia. That was his senior debut. He's currently worth 45 million euros on transfer market. He's just like silky smooth with the ball. Like that's why he plays for PSG, because they have they have destroyers in the back, but then they have these guys who are good enough with the ball to get it to their playmakers in the right spots. And I've been on here talking about how I think a guy like Vitinha is just proof of what they're developing in Portugal. Maybe it's just the big clubs, maybe it's just the culture there in general, but they just have this movement of just like super good like technicians. Like Portugal will be like this for the next 3 or 4 World Cups. They just have those players coming through. So yeah, that's kind of like the outlook on Portugal. I would honestly like Portugal more without Ronaldo and without Bruno Fernandes. Like, when you talk about Portugal, you're like, oh, they have Bruno, they have Ronaldo. It's like, I wish those guys just didn't come to the World Cup so I could appreciate this Portugal team.
You probably dislike them just because they both play for Manchester United.
No, I don't hate Manchester United. I really don't really care much about Manchester United. Ronaldo's just annoying.
Well, yeah, Ronaldo is annoying, and also the fans who love Ronaldo are also pretty annoying.
Yeah, but that doesn't, like, so, all right. I don't think Ronaldo's that good, but you know he's going to score a goal. Bruno's going to score a goal.
You know he's going to start, too, Ronaldo.
I think the strength of this team is in everybody else. It's in these little technicians. It's in the João Cancelo and the Ruben Diaz strong at the back. It's Rafael Leao, who's literally on track to be, like, one of the best players in the world.
The best player on the team, I think, is Bernardo Silva.
Yeah, he won't be the most impactful. Like, I think he's more impactful for a team like City than he would be like a team trying to get out and run, because he's less physically imposing.
Yeah, but I think he's the best player on the team.
I guess so. Yeah. So I don't know who else they would start. I mean, we'd have to look at like a projected 11 here, but it's pretty strong. I mean, Bruno's probably going to start. Bernardo Silva's going to start. You would think Vitinha's going to start. I mean, even João Felix too. Like, I still think he could be like a top 10 to 15 player in the world. He just doesn't get consistent like quality minutes for Atletico.
I agree.
But yeah, so I think they're one World Cup away from getting rid of the annoying Ronaldo and probably some of the older players. And then the next World Cup, like in 26, like I think they're going to be Leao will be up at that level. The rest of the guys will be up at the level, and they'll be a legit contender.
Yeah.
When all of the guys from the 2021 U21 Euros will be full force.
They're going to get the band back together.
Yeah. All right, so next team is Uruguay. They're 50-1 to win the tournament. Uruguay?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. They're ranked 14th in FIFA. Nickname's the Sky Blue. Their manager is Diego Alonso, who was the coach of Inter Miami when they started MLS. Yeah, he got fired from Inter Miami. He had a 29% winning percentage with Miami. He's 7-1-1 with Uruguay. He took over after a 3-0 loss to Bolivia in qualifying, and then finished out qualifying beating Paraguay, Venezuela, and Peru. They finished third in qualifying behind Brazil and Argentina, 8 wins, 4 draws, and 6 losses. But the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth were all like pretty jumbled up, and I think the top 4 make it, and fifth gets a intercontinental playoff. Yeah. So like it was pretty close, and I could see why there was pressure on the other guy. They lost to Iran and then beat Canada in September. So like you can't really take much from the loss to Iran. I think they're just mixing things up. Like we said, Iran could be tricky, and then beat Canada too. Likely to play some type of 4-3-3 or 4-4-2, mainly to highlight their attacking strengths. So you have Luis Suarez, who's back home playing in Uruguay. Edson Cavani playing for Valencia. Those are 2 older guys who I just think just care so much about the Uruguayan national team that they're just like, I don't care where I play my club, just get me to this World Cup.
Exactly.
Darwin Nunez playing for Liverpool has really kind of come along recently. He has something like, 7 goals and 17 appearances or something now, which like he's low key like, on the come up there.
That's why he's worth so much, yeah.
Pelestri, who is a young winger, plays for Man United, was on loan at Alaves, so he hasn't really gotten a whole lot of burn at Man United. He's only 20 years old, but he has started games for Uruguay, so I think they believe in him. Facundo Torres made the roster, plays for Orlando City at MLS, and was linked to Arsenal. I think those rumors are proved to be not true, but he's still like worth 10 to 20 million, probably on track to go somewhere. So look at some of their midfielders. I mean, Federico Valverde from Real Madrid, Bentancur from Spurs, Lucas Torreira, Galatasaray, I'm guessing it's Vitinho from Lazio, So he probably runs around in the middle with Savage. And then look at the back. Like Ronald Araujo from Barcelona is apparently going to be fit and ready to go. They have Jimenez from Atletico Madrid. Diego Godin is playing in Uruguay as well. That's a guy who would just die for the Uruguayan badge, bro.
Dude, I can just see him jumping and blocking a shot with his face.
Oh, yeah. Or like heading someone's head so that guy can't get his head on. Like he's not going to head the ball, but he's like, I'm just taking out this guy's head. Dude, and yeah, so this is a really good team, man. So I just went into a little bit with Federico Valverde. Not the craziest story, to be honest. He's 24 years old. He came through the ranks at Peñarol in Uruguay. He got looks from European teams because he was in the Uruguayan youth national teams. Bought by Real Madrid in 2016, but played for their reserve team. Went on a few loan spells and became a Real Madrid first-team player in 2019. He won the silver ball at the 2017 U17 World Cup and later debuted with the senior Uruguay team that year. I specifically remember the 2017 U17 World Cup, not because of Fede Valverde. I didn't watch any Uruguay, but that was when we had a really good squad. The U.S. did. Tim Weah had that like cannon of a shot. Who's the place for Atlanta?
Andrew Carleton.
Yeah, Andrew Carleton was like balling out. I think Josh Sargent was in that, so I remember that tournament. And Valverde got the silver ball there. So he's just like an engine for Real Madrid. Like can play center mid, can play on the wing, can just like kind of do it all. This team is strong, man. Like 50 to 1. I will be putting money on that. Like, will they win it? Probably not. But like, could this team go on a run and beat anybody and make the semifinals? Heck yeah.
Yeah, dude. Valverde. I mean, yeah.
There's so much of just attacking
Valverde is one of the best
power,
centers in the world.
And Bentancur's in insane form for Spurs. He just had 2 goals this weekend.
Yeah. Also, I think I'm not a big Nunez fan. Like I just because I'm an Everton fan and he plays for Liverpool and like he's kind of annoying. Like, but I think he could be like breakout player. At
But
the
dude,
tournament.
that like he could have 4 goals, right? This tournament in the group stages, like that power and that, like you just said, a lot of teams are going to be like not high pressing. They might be tired, but like you get that kind of power, like rushing forward, like with those like attacking subs off the bench.
Yeah,
this is dangerous squad, man.
Dangerous squad. I agree.
All right, so we have South Korea and Ghana left to go. You ready?
All right. Yep. I'll take it from here. South Korea.
We got to get rolling
the
here.
Taeguk Warriors, or the Tigers of Asia. 150 to 1 odds, ranked 28 in FIFA. Paulo Bento is their manager. They were 57th in the world in their FIFA rankings when Bento took over. Now they're 28th.
Wow.
They'll play a 4-4-2 or 4-4-1-1 form recently, beat Egypt and Chile, but heavy losses to Brazil and Japan. Lost once in their 17 qualifying games in Asia, but like the first round of qualifying for Asia is really easy, and then the second round, they created 33 expected goals. So getting analytical now.
Yeah, one analytics drop this podcast.
Yeah, players to watch: some guy named Heung-min Son, whoever that is,
World star.
Hwang Hee-chang for Wolves, and then they have a few other players that you've probably heard of. They actually do play in some of the big leagues around the world. But player that I highlighted is Min Jung Kim. He's a 25-year-old center back for Napoli. Love Napoli. He's the Koulibaly replacement. So he went to the same high school as Korean legend Ji-sung Park.
Hey.
Like, not at the same time, obviously.
Yeah.
But, so in Korea, it looks like you just go to middle school, you go to high school, you go to college. Like, similar to how it is here. So he went to college but dropped out sophomore year to pursue a football career. Joined semi-pro side in 2016, which made a cup final, whatever cup final that was. He eventually moved to the K-League, and he won the K-League Young Player of the Year and was part of the K-League Best 11.
He loves the K-League, man. Jeez.
So then in 2019, he moved to a Chinese Super League team, which I think K-League to the Chinese Super League is a jump. So he made a jump there.
Right, big money jump. Like, you make a lot more money, too.
The team he played for was out of Beijing. He was wanted by Spurs in 2020, but that fell through. But in 2021, went to Fenerbahce for $3 million, and in that year was Super League Team of the Season.
What a rise, dude.
Yeah. And 2022, moved to Napoli, $18 million, and was September's Serie A Player of the Month. Which, wow. 44 caps with the national team, too, so a lot of experience for a guy who played, like, college.
Yeah.
Like, college in South Korea, only 25 years old, so...
It's a pretty good squad.
It's a decent
World Cup experience, too.
It's a decent squad. Yeah, remember they beat Germany in that one group game. Yeah. World Cup.
Yeah, let's go through Ghana. We got
All right, Ghana, the Black Stars, 150-1 odds. They're ranked 61st in FIFA. Their manager's Otto Addo. He actually just took over in March. He previously worked for Dortmund and served as the interim head coach in 2021. At some point, he worked for Dortmund a little bit, and he might still do some work for Dortmund as a talent coach. So he has like a double position. So like I was reading articles, and they said like sometimes he might not focus his full attention on the Ghana national team because he's doing work for Dortmund.
What a life, though, dude! You just like coaching a national team.
He's a former player too,
That's
so
awesome.
like notable former player. In World Cup qualifying, failed to score in 40% of their matches. So they've had a problem scoring goals, but I'll get to the solution in a second. They beat Nigeria in a two-legged playoff. Those were the first matches under Adu. Only 2 wins in their last 6, and they came up against Nicaragua and Madagascar.
Oof.
So
Yeah.
not coming in with good form. Third youngest squad in the World Cup, however, and I think some of their young players are going to kind of take a step forward, like you said, with like Ecuador. You know?
Yeah.
Players to watch: Daniel Amarte from Leicester City, Tariq Lamptey from Brighton, Mohamed Salisu from Southampton, Mohamed Kudus from Ajax, Thomas Partey, Arsenal, Jordan Ayew, Crystal Palace. There's a lot of Premier caliber players
this
in there,
core
right?
might be better than the USMNT core that we're saying is like a golden generation. Like,
100% this core.
like, we don't have anyone as good as Thomas Partey
Thomas Partey's their
or Salisu. Yeah.
Thomas Partey is their guy, but the player that I highlighted is Inaki Williams. So he's 28-year-old forward. If you play FIFA, you know who Inaki Williams is. Plays for Atletico Bilbao. Born in Spain to Ghanaian parents. Was a product of Athletic Bilbao. Came up through all their third-tier team. Went to their second-tier team who plays in the Segunda Division. And a crazy stat where he's played about 240 consecutive games for Athletic Bilbao. Like, jeez, dude's a unit. Like, will not get hurt. So he has 1 appearance for Spain. Did the whole FIFA switch thing, and only 2 appearances for Ghana, which were back in September. Okay. So, like I said, in World Cup qualifying, they failed to score in 40% of their games, but they didn't have Inaki Williams.
So so he kept thinking like, oh, I'm going to get called up by Spain, and just never did. And
yeah, he must have like finally got that process through, and now, yeah, he could be the answer to like scoring some of their goals.
It's not a bad like squad. I'm sure it really drops off. Yeah, so that's a good squad. Also, we forgot to mention for Cameroon, Union right back.
Olivier
Mbaza. He's on the squad, right? He was a starter in like qualifying in AFCON.
I didn't check.
I'm assuming he made it. So yeah, all right. Well, give me the Group H prediction then. I'm gonna say Uruguay finishes first, Portugal second, Korea third, and Ghana fourth.
You dislike Portugal?
Like I said, I want to like them.
You dislike them like that?
But the old guard, dude. Uruguay's that good, dude.
I'm going to say Portugal, I'm going to say Uruguay, then I'm going to say Ghana, then South Korea.
That's pretty good, too.
I don't think South Korea has enough. I think they got some good players that you like Son and Kim.
Low-key tough group, dude.
But Ghana's got some good players, too. We're out here saying that like they've got some good players. It's hard to watch all 32 teams in the World Cup.
Yeah.
Once we start to watch the first couple of games, I think we'll start to get an idea of are they actually good? Like, what did they do good?
Group G and H might be the 2 toughest groups.
We highlighted some good groups there.
Yeah, that was good. Group F was a little like underwhelming. We've seen the best of Belgium, we've seen the best of Croatia, but like Group G is tough, Group H is tough. So that was a good preview. All right.
Dude, Brazil could play Portugal, right? If Brazil finishes first in their group, Portugal finished second in their group.
Yeah.
So that would be a
or Brazil, Uruguay, and if Uruguay
Uruguay
finishes second, Brazil first. And that'll just be First of all, one team's going to score on a set piece, and the other team's just going to flop all over the place. There's going to be no soccer played.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those. But
cool.
Yeah,
That was pretty good. That was we got to get rolling here. So that was episode 46, World Cup episode 3. We'll be back in another couple days. Well, I'm thinking we go through, and if you have any ideas too, like we'll go maybe 5 to 10 of the most intriguing storylines, plus a preview of match day 1. So every team's first game, including the U.S. Wales, and then we'll be back after that to review U.S. Wales, and then we'll review match day 1, look ahead to match day 2 after all those games are done.
Yep.
So it's going to get real quick, man. So I got to set the recordings if you can't watch the games, be ready to roll.
Those 5 a.m. ones are brutal.
Oh, dude, I love it. Like, what else do you have to do at 5 a.m.? Just wake up at 5.
Wake up before work?
Dude, yeah, before work, it's 100%.
All right, just making sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get plenty of rest after the 2 o'clock games, which are the last of the day, so you can just go right to bed.
Yeah, dude, you need to adjust your schedule,
Adjust
man.
your sleep schedule.
Yep. All right, I gotta run. I gotta go coach the next generation of American internationals.
Nice.
All right.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.